This is Diana.
And this is Diana.
Chisme con propósito, porque si vamos a hablar, vamos a decir algo.
Si venimos por el chisme,
pero nos quedamos por el crecimiento.
Porque hablar se nos da,
pero reflexionar también.
Because if we're gonna talk, we're gonna say something.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. What a mission to start recording this episode, huh, Diana?
It's been a struggle. I think we have like the last 10, 15 minutes trying to start recording. Our internet is not giving. Spectrum, please be better. Like, update your lines or whatever, because this cannot be happening. We're trying to make a living out of this.
Come on, you need AT&T fiber network. I think I have Spectrum too, though. TBH.
I had we had AT&T for the longest, but then it got expensive, so we switched. Yeah.
And now look, estás pagando el precio literalmente. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We are now on episode 3.
Yeah, season 2.
Season 2.
¿Quién nos viera?
Like I see. So we'll start off with our weekly chisme. So I can start off. I know last week I had shared that I had met with a psychiatrist and he had told me I had ADHD, so me recetó medicina. So today was actually my first day with my medication, and I was telling Diana, I was like, I don't know if I was like locked in or if like I was just thinking about being locked in. I mean, I definitely felt way more productive. Y sí sentí like the day went by fast. I feel like usually when I'm in the office, it feels never ending. Like I'll look at the clock and it's only been 10 minutes. But today it went by so fast. So we'll see. I mean, it's my first day. So vamos a ver cómo me va. But yeah, that's the tea.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge difference to notice that you felt like the day went faster versus like before nomás estabas esperando probably to leave the office
Yeah,
and go home.
yes, and Diana knows this, that I would go on walks 2-3 times when I'm at work because I'm waiting for like the time to go fast. So I'm like, oh, let me go on a walk to kill time. I didn't have time to go on a walk today.
Because you were so focused. Wow.
I was so locked in. Yeah. So.
Mírala. Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes for you. Okay, now my chisme. So just so y'all know, we have like a debate. Well, not a debate, but a discussion before we start filming. And we're always like, okay, what's your weekly chisme? And we usually have like a few chismes, but we're also careful and like just careful or conscious of like what we're sharing, right? Because everyone will listen to it. So I'll start off with one, and Diana and our producer.
I want it noted, everyone, that she was the one who said raw and unfiltered. So yes, we have a very like hearty discussion before we set up about like what is our chisme. And obviously Diana shares everything with us. And so when we're talking about our weekly chisme, me and our producer are like, hey, talk about this. And she's like, no, me da vergüenza.
No.
Que no. I need to like, que no sé. I'm like, Diana, like what happened to raw and unfiltered? You have to be honest with the people. The people want honesty, right? Like
the people want to hear it all.
Yes,
I'll
if I'm talking
try
about running stands, you have to talk about running into, certain people.
I guess. Well, anyways, my chisme is that this past weekend on Sunday, I went to see a band that is from Texas. So as you've all heard me share, I love to dance, specifically norteñas. Although, like, I'll dance other music too, but norteñas are definitely what I grew up with. So this is a band that I've been following for, I mean, it's probably been over a year, maybe 2 at this point. Yeah, they're based out of Texas together with, so they're called Las Tortugas del Norte. So they're literally called the turtles. Las Tortugas, the turtles. But they play really good songs. So they came this past week to like the LA area. They were in one nightclub on Thursday, and then Sunday night they were over like in one in Hollywood. So I told my sister like we're going. And it was Sunday night.
Y fueron.
y nos fuimos. I had to like, rally up my sister, pero pues nunca me falla because there was some girls that were gonna go with me que sí, y al último no. So,
Que sí, que no, que no. Ay, Diana.
um, I know it's okay. We still have fun. But me and my sister went, and I mean, we got there. I mean, at the clubs at this age, like we're not trying to get there at 9, right? We get there ya tarde to be there like 2, max 3 hours because we cannot do the whole night. So we get there, we find like some good seats. We were being healthy and safe. We did not drink. So I think all I had was like a mineral water. Um, and pues ya, estaban like los grupos. There was one grupo before we saw like the two main ones for that night. And then as one of the grupos like started, well, I mean, they play good music, obviously. Me sacaron a bailar. So then I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So as I'm walking towards like the main
Wow, Diana, que me pegue. Yo quiero ser como ella cuando sea
Ay,
grande.
no, güey. Bueno, fueran para que quisieran en serio, nomás es el baile, dude. Um, and then I'm like walking.
As
As
you're
I'm
walking
also
by.
note, I should note it that like when we're recording, like our producer, she's with us, so she'll sometimes come on camera and she'll like make like gestures towards us. So that's why sometimes we're laughing really hard. But anyways, as I'm walking, right, as we're walking towards the center of the piece, to the side, I see someone that I did not want to see. That I was like, no way que van a ir, dude, porque está, it's a Sunday night, it's lejos hasta LA. And then I was like, no fucking way. Running to the person that I did not want to see at the bailes. There's two people that I try to avoid at the bailes now. Y
And that's
dije,
why
no,
everyone
hombre, mi
listen,
suerte.
you can't date people que van al baile, especialmente si te gusta el baile.
Yeah, no. That's become my rule now. I will not date anyone from the violet. I would go y voy a bailar, but that's it. Nothing more because I do not want it. I mean, it was fine, but it was awkward. And then there was like a song that came on and I was like, "Damn." I was like, "This song is one that like, we would listen to because we like the same band and stuff of Conjunto Primavera y
Let
dije,
me
"No, hombre, mi pinche
Diana,
suerte, dude."
let me find out que la pidió, dude, que la pidió por
Ay,
ti.
no, güey, no, no,
¿Verdad?
no, no exageres.
I mean, él es
No,
muy conocido en esas, en esas, I don't wanna say calles,
en los
but
ambientes. No,
en
pues sí,
esos
son
ambientes,
calles, dude.
ajá, sí,
En
sí,
los
sí, sí.
ambientes, eh. Yeah, so that's my chisme. But aside from that, the tortugas were great. In the beginning, I don't know if they were like nervous or what, but as the guy, the lead singer, they kept giving him like shots. Neta que se entonaba más, se
Se calentó,
escuchaba like
sí.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So that's my chisme of the week.
That's a good chisme, Diana. I genuinely
Yeah.
feel like me and the people
Want
really
to hear
want
more?
more chisme like that. Yes, because I think that, you know, I think chisme is like this is our reality, right? Like, para que nos hacemos
Mhm.
pendejas that, oh, I didn't do anything. I mean, sometimes, yeah, we didn't do anything,
Somos
pero
bien
si hay
inocentes.
yes, dude, si hay un buen chisme, o sea, like, hay que compartirlo con la gente
Yeah, por el bien de todos, you're
por
right,
el
you're
bien de
right.
todo.
Yeah. My brother who, does listen to our podcast, I guess he's like our number one fan. He did say, he's like, "You know what? I need you to be more open. Like, don't think about it. Just do it." And I'm like, "What do you mean I am open?" And when I shared that with Diana, she's like, "You do, Diana." And I was like, "What do you mean? I feel like I'm already sharing so much about myself."
Well, I feel like because you're a Gemini, I think that there's like a side of you that's like very open, but also another side of you that's like very reserved and private. And I think
Private.
that
Mhm.
yes, and I think that there are certain things that you want to keep to yourself. But my thinking has always been, si lo sabe Dios, que lo sepa el
Que
mundo.
lo sepa el mundo.
Menos
You
mi
have
mamá.
always said that. Menos mi mamá. Y que nos
Es
esté escuchando ahorita.
no,
Ay,
mom, kidding.
no. No.
I know. Ay, ay, ay. But
Ay.
in other news, not related to us,
Not related to
we're
our
continuing
chismes.
not related to our chisme, but talking about like what's happening in the world today. The World Cup is still happening. I can't believe that it's going to finish in 2 weeks.
Is it still
But
happening though? Like, is it?
I mean, now that Mexico is out, it just doesn't hit the same. Honestly, it
It's
does not hit
not.
the
It's
same.
not.
Unfortunately, Mexico lost on Sunday, but they fought with their life. Oh, yo,
Le
I could
dieron
literally
todo.
lo dieron todo, dude. Dejaron todo en la cancha. I keep crying. I don't think there's been a day since Sunday that I haven't cried. It hurts my heart to just like know that
Mhm.
they're out, because I think that it was a moment that like so many people found like not only community but like pride, and being Mexicanos and like
Mhm.
being together
Mhm.
for like a single team. And I think that that honor is very much like earned. I think that they worked so
Mhm.
hard and they did so much. It wasn't just like, the World Cup games. Like they've been playing, like the last 2, 3 years to even qualify to be in the World Cup.
Mhm.
They actually were, like on a winning streak. They actually hadn't really lost a lot of games. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was
Any
watching an
game. They didn't lose any game.
no,
Yeah.
but I mean
Well, the last
prior to the
one.
yeah, aside from the
Oh,
last one, but I mean
prior.
prior to the World Cup, they had I think it was like I don't wanna like miss like quote or anything, but there I would say like over like 60% of the games that they had played in order to qualify for the World Cup, like they won. I think they ganaron la
Mhm.
Copa Oro, la Copa America. Like they really have been like working to
Mhm.
I think kind of rebrand like the because I feel like antes todos decían, México no sirve para nada, like el equipo de México, like
Porque no se llevaban, dude. I feel que you
yeah.
had these players like Chicharito that always wanted to be the one to fucking score. And I feel like
Mhm.
the difference with this team is that you see the unity. You see that
A
like their
family.
goal is to make a goal, you know? Like it's not about like one individual just making all the shots at the same time. Like they were passing the ball, they were working like together, and I think that was so beautiful, and it just brought everyone together. So even though they lost, I feel like we walked with
They
our
will.
heads really high. And
No lo dieron
what an
todo.
honor.
I know,
Lo
I'm
dieron
so proud.
todo.
I feel like I've always been very proud to be Mexican, but I think like in this moment, like I've never been prouder. And it makes me
Mhm.
really excited to see, what's gonna happen in the next 4 years when they play. Adriana, why are you being a hater? Our producer, oh my God, I don't know if she's trying to just speak from the heart.
Tú síguele,
Anyways,
tú desahógate.
I literally, Diana, it is mi testigo. Did I not call you today during lunch and I was
She
crying?
did. I'm like, "What happened?" And then she's like, I keep watching videos. I'm like, "You need to stop, girl. You need to stop." But I feel like we're on day 4 and everyone is still talking about it. Like I was in a meeting earlier today and we're still talking about it. Like we can't believe it. Like what happened? Like, everyone's been crying over it. I mean, we should never lose hope, but we we broke the spell, right, of like 40 years ago
Mhm.
we wouldn't like advance. So I think that is still like a major like achievement. Um but they gave it their all, and to play against England as well, like those players are like fast, like their stamina, their height compared to like our Mexicanos, like it's so different. And los traían dude sudados, like they were
Literally,
tired.
Jude Bellingham, who I've developed a huge crush on, right? Because I mean, why
She
not?
has number one fan over
But,
here now.
yes, I am. But yes, dude, estaba tan cansado that literally cuando like sonó that the game was over, he literally dropped to his knees of how tired.
Mhm. Like
So
relief that it was over.
yes, so we're excited, and then Rafa Marquez has been announced as like the nuevo director
New
técnico that's gonna take
técnico.
Mexico to the World Cup in 2030. Is it 2030? Yeah,
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 2030.
2030. So that's
Yeah.
exciting. Outside of, I feel like we could talk about like literally the Mexico versus England game for a whole
Yeah.
hour.
All the memes, the videos.
I love our people. But outside of that, right, there's other things happening with the World Cup. So there was Argentina versus Egypt game. Oh my God, I was so upset that that game should have gone to Egypt. And I think something that
Absolutely.
came out of this is that the referee was very much favoring Argentina and Messi.
Oh,
But Messi,
absolutely.
yeah, bro, the fact that he missed like a penalty kick, I was like, bruh, like, don't y'all practice for this?
Dude, I just don't understand. Like, I get it. He's talented. I feel like there's a
Yes, yes.
very talented soccer players. Pero I can't. I don't understand like the whole hype and like this idea of putting him on like the highest pedestal. Like we're all humans, and to get that type of favoritism in these games is insane. Like even within one of the first games where it was clearly like a red card when he like stepped on one of the players, no le hicieron nada. And then to see that in this game Egypt was leading 2-0, and
Yes,
somehow in a short amount of time, like they scored 3 and they took away a goal from Egypt as well.
yes,
So I
yes.
just it's crazy. It's crazy.
So that there's that, and then there's also currently an FBI investigation against the Argentine Football Association president
Mhm.
Claudio Tapia regarding possible fraud and money laundering in the U.S. AFA channeled
FA
roughly $300 million to American
to
banks.
American
So
banks.
I really don't know like what's gonna happen with that, but I think just
Mhm.
there's so much. I genuinely feel that part of the drama just stems from the fact that like it's being co-hosted in the U.S. Like anytime the U.S. is
Yeah.
involved, it's un just like
Y más con
siempre
tu
la cagan,
presidente,
siempre
dude.
la cagan.
Ay, no, y
Yes.
más con este presidente, like, oh, I
Oh
can't.
my
And the
God,
fact
the
that
U.S.
he's gonna
is
give like
slaughtering.
the World Cup.
I know.
Wait, what?
I would. Oh no, I was like that. The U.S. got slaughtered during their game against
Oh,
Belgium.
the FBI can come for me, but I was happy. I was very happy.
Freaking
My mom and I were getting like a pedicure during that game. Um, and when they scored against him, I was like, yes, they need to go out. They need to go out. One, karma for that player
Mhm.
getting like the red card removed. Ahí les va. Todo lo que I really like what Padilla said. He posted like something on his Instagram of like everything that like president, your president touches, like it just goes to the ruins. Like,
Literally.
and yep, that is so true. So now none of the host countries are part of the games, the finals or anything like that. So we'll see who wins. Um there's still a few countries, right? I think it's the
Mhm.
France beat Morocco, right? I was so sad. I was kind of rooting for Morocco. And then we also have the Netherlands with England. No, Norway, right, with England that's coming up. So I feel like that is where we will get our revenge. And
I
Norway's
cannot
gonna
wait.
beat England. That's gonna be a good game. Yeah.
Se va a poner bueno, se va a
But
poner
yeah.
bueno.
Yeah. But there's definitely a lot happening, a lot more within like the FIFA and the World Cup. I don't know what life will be once it's done. But the good thing is that next year there is like the women's World Cup. So we'll have to talk about that
Yeah,
too.
and you know what? I have to say, because I think maybe like in the first episode of the season, I said that women's sports were not as fun. I'm gonna take it
Mhm.
back. I wanna, apologize to our producer who called me out on that. I'm gonna give the Women's World Cup a chance. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we
Why
should. I
not?
think we should. We should support them. Yeah. All right. In other news, we did want to provide like an update on the lineage fire. So happening as we are recording tonight, there was a town hall meeting tonight on July 9th where the community was going to be able to like head on talk with not only the mayor but also the lineage company as well. And like a lot of information has come out, right? After like the week long fire, but there was 85 million pounds of frozen
Um,
food
so
within that warehouse. So that means that all of that, I mean, probably part of it like burned, right? But the other large part was rotting, and that's what caused like the really bad smell. Like people were talking and saying how like just how your trash bin smells, that is how it smelled out there, and it brought like along rodents and pests as well. But at least based on like some of the news articles that I read, like lineage is like being committed. They're committing to like a 45-day goal to clean up. they've also contributed around $2.5 million as well. They've offered, they said that they will offer like housing vouchers, air purifiers, conditioners, masks, grocery vouchers as well, and cash assistance. So looks like they're taking responsibility. I feel like maybe they could
They
have
could do more.
acted sooner, but they
Yeah.
can do more and do better. Yeah, and really take a look at those freaking solar panels and look at what caused it because this was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, and the fact
Yeah.
that like that was something that was so close in like a residential area, I think is very much
Mhm.
concerning because why is it always in areas where there's a lot of like working class, communities
Mhm.
because you don't see this happening in more affluent areas. So it
Oh,
definitely does
no.
bring up the conversation of like, you know, just the way that, companies just come in and, no les importa la gente que está
No.
alrededor o cómo les va a afectar. It's everything is about
Yeah.
profit.
It is. It is very much so.
So another news that we wanted to share is for those of you that haven't been just following the news, ICE shot and killed a Houston resident. His name was Lorenzo Salgado. He was 52 years old. And yeah, he was shot by ICE on his way to
Way
pick up,
to work.
yeah, pick up some of like his employees or people that he worked with. He lived
Mhm.
in Houston for more than three decades. He had no criminal history. And like I said, was heading to pick up members of his construction
Mhm.
crew at the time of the incident. His family shared that he was in the process of applying for legal residency through sponsorship from his US citizen son, and he carried documentation related to that process. I think, I mean, it's always like heartbreaking, right, to see that that is happening to our community. I think, especially right
Mhm.
now with the World Cup, I think a lot of people have kind of pushed it in the back burner and they think that because they don't hear about it, that it's not happening, right? That the ice raids aren't
Mhm.
happening, that people aren't getting
Mhm.
taken. And that's just not the reality. I think it's
Mhm.
gotten, it's gotten very
It continues
quiet, but
to happen.
yeah, it continues to happen.
Mhm. And
So I'm
they have like ramped up their really what is kidnapping, right?
the rate.
Because we've started to see a lot of the raids even here within like where we live in nearby like cities and communities. So they're going strong. And like the number of deaths caused like within this year, it's like close to 2 dozen all
Yeah.
caused, right, by like ICE. And because of that, I think today I was reading that the Mexican government is now going to file like criminal complaints against the US regarding like the treatment of Mexican citizens. So we'll see what comes out of that. But it's hard. And then like I struggle to watch videos, but I force myself
Same.
to look at them. And when he was saying, I think he said something along the lines like "Me están matando," I was like, my
Yeah, I
heart, I
can't watch
can't.
the video. Yeah, I can't. I feel like I very much I mean, I was freaking crying over videos about the Mexico team. So I feel
Yeah.
like I just can't watch the videos. I feel like I've definitely been reading about it and trying to stay
Mhm.
informed. And yeah, I think the fact that for those of us who are part of like mixed status families, right? And we try to
Mhm.
tell like our parents and like our community, like, do this, do that, like trying to tell them like what to do. But
Mhm.
then you see instances like this where it doesn't matter that you have
Doesn't
a lawyer,
matter.
it doesn't matter that you're in the
Mhm.
process. Like none of it
Mhm.
matters, like when it comes to like
Mhm.
ICE, because at the end of the day, like they genuinely do not care,
They don't.
like who they're hurting, like les vale madre. And so I think it's
Mhm.
very upsetting because it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, and the other layer and sad part to that is that some of these ICE agents are very much people like us from mixed status families that were
Mhm.
born here from, immigrant undocumented like parents. I think when like the World Cup started, there was like pictures of some of the agents like wearing their Mexican jerseys. I was like, get out of
My
here.
God.
Like
Yes.
the audacity to wear that when you're over here like kidnapping people, killing people, and like contributing to what this administration is doing. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot. It's
and
heavy, y'all.
there's this like he's like a social media creator on like TikTok and stuff, And I feel like something that I really like that he said is like, he's like, may I never become that kind of Mexican that celebrates a culture but stays silent when our people need us most. And I
Mhm.
keep thinking about that because yes, there were so many people that I was seeing on my
Mhm.
feed that were wearing Mexico jerseys, que andaban celebrando and all
Mhm.
these things, and then they're silent when stuff like this
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
And it's just
Yep.
like I cannot comprehend people like that. I genuinely cannot.
I know. I don't know, I don't know, lack of being conscious and or educated, I think too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like that'll continue to be a topic. We've talked about it
Mhm.
before, so as things come up, we'll continue to share. But one last note that I wanted to share is I like follow the Washington Post. I feel like they come up with like really good articles that are interesting. And one that I saw that they recently posted, so I am citing our sources, it's from the Washington Post, saying that drinking coffee regularly actually offers significant health benefits. I feel like often when we think like, oh, coffee, like it's probably not the healthiest, but they did found that some of the benefits included avoiding like early mortality, avoiding like type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, any like chronic liver diseases as well. And that's because of like the rich antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that they have. However, they did recommend not to drink coffee past noon just for like better sleep. So keep drinking your cafecito, y'all, in the mornings before noon, preferably for better sleep. They it did also show that you tend to be like more active. Now,
Oh,
one important note is that of course you want to be careful and watch for like the
I knew
add-ons,
you were gonna say that. I knew it.
like the
Todo
heavy
iba bien.
creams.
Todo iba bien hasta que dijiste eso. Todo iba bien.
Hasta que dije the sugar.
Yeah,
I
the
know because
sugar
Diana
ingredients.
loves her coffee sweet.
I do. I love sweet. Yes, because I had heard about that. We're like, oh, coffee is actually not bad for you, but then they're
Hmm.
like, but you need to drink it black because as soon as you
Black,
start adding
yes.
like milk and creamers and sugars, like
Creamer, sugar.
it's no longer like that good for you. And I
Hmm.
was like, nah, entonces no lo quiero. I don't want it.
Yes.
I don't want it.
So, maybe start slowly, like start maybe pulling back from like, adding maybe instead of 2 pumps of vanilla, you add 1 and then, you slow down. So,
Mm,
I do like me like a black cold brew. They're hella good. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because I feel like it's interesting. And since we're huge coffee people, I thought this was perfect.
it's a good update for people. I approve. I approve.
Yeah.
But I think this kind of so now we're gonna go into kind of like what it is that we wanted to talk about. So for those of you who are listening from the US, you might have known that 4th of July just happened this weekend. So
Mhm.
America, or the United States of America, because America is not just a US, just celebrated their Independence Day, and it's 250 years since they declared independence. So we wanted to take
Mhm.
this segment to really kind of talk about like the whole idea of like patriotism, and specifically how it relates to those of us who maybe come from like immigrant families, and like how is it that do we see ourselves reflected in like what this country
Mhm.
considers to be like patriotic, right, Diana?
Yes. So, this actually came because me and Diana, I think it was it was on Saturday, the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was telling her, I was like, I feel like a lot of people, it's costumbre to like get together, do a barbecue,
Mhm.
throw fireworks. And I feel like very much growing up, like I do remember my dad, he would buy the fireworks, right, to entertain us and, las luces de Bengala and all of that. Um, but I don't think I've ever felt, like, proud, to be, like,
Mhm.
American. I think because we hold, like, the duality of being sons and daughters, right, of, like, undocumented, like, parents, but then we also hold, right, the privilege of being born here, right, and having, like, the everything that comes, right, with being, like, a citizen. So I'm like, that's so interesting because I feel like some people, like, even though, like, even like within my community, right? Like, there's a lot of like older millennials that they are, sons and daughters of like immigrants, but they like go all out. They will decorate, they'll hold
Yeah.
like, barbecues, pool parties, and throw hella fireworks que parece a show de Disneyland. Um, but like I don't like it. Like aparte que I don't like the fireworks. I just don't feel again that like I don't know. I don't feel happy with everything right that this country is doing and continues like to do. So I thought it was just like an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point. I think that it's hard, especially I think you kind of I feel like I'm realizing that now I feel I have a lot of awareness of the fact that like we live in the US. And I never felt this
Mhm.
much awareness as I do now. And I think a lot of it comes
Mhm.
from the fact that we are in the news and that we have a
Mhm.
government who is not really serving the people and is not,
Mhm.
keeping in mind like what the needs of our communities and just like people in general need. That it's
Mhm.
like, why should I be proud, to be in this country. And I also think that like part of like patriotism is also calling out, when
Mhm.
things aren't. I feel like a lot of people think that like,
Mhm.
oh, that's very unpatriotic of
Being
you to call
loyal and
yes.
yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And I'm like, no, like I feel like part of patriotism is also recognizing that there's a lot of
Mhm.
issues in this country that are have not been addressed for a really long time, and that there are certain people in power that rather than like changing things, they just continue
Mhm.
to do the same shit over and over again.
Yeah. It's like holding everything that, this country is doing accountable for, right? And speaking of the different issues and knowing that we can do better. Like we can do better. Um Because, I mean, for us, like, we sort of live in, like, these 2 worlds of, like, holding on, and we've talked about this, right? Holding on to, like, our
Mhm.
identities, our cultures, but then also, the way that we grew up is very different than where our parents grew up as well, right? And some of their struggles and challenges as well. So, I don't know, I guess, like you said, this year or over, like, the past few years, especially, like, with this presidency or maybe as we just get older, right? And we,
Mhm.
um 'cause I feel like when we went to college, we were very aware, right? But I think now being
Yeah.
in the workforce, right? Like being in the trenches and being on our own, like we get to have this different experience of everything that we learn, like we're feeling it now, right? And
Yeah.
it's different to talk about it like when we were like in college and this duality of like we're Mexicanas, but then we're also from here as well. Um, so
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think the US is like, I think there's so many like, articles, and I feel like it's such a like social experiment in a sense because it is genuinely like there's so many immigrants in the US. And so it's kind of hard to I guess to kind of like one, it's like what are we proud of, right? Like when I think about like American culture,
Mhm.
like it's kind of sad. Like there's no culture. Like como dijo Bad Bunny, no
No.
tienes sazón. Like there's nothing. And a lot of,
No, all of the immigrant communities have created the culture.
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of like when I think about like being proud to like be an American, those are the things that I think of, right? Like I think about
Mhm,
like our
mhm,
communities and how we're like, a nation of immigrants and how a lot of,
mhm,
people came here with this idea of like building a better life, and despite the US not welcoming them, they've
mhm,
still managed to like survive and even thrive in some areas.
mhm, mhm.
And I think
So,
that's what I think about patriotism, honestly. I don't like
yeah,
I don't want to think about
it's sort of
Trump.
it's like we're reclaiming it because I
Mhm,
think, growing up, we definitely saw it as one thing, of like wearing the flag and like celebrating, the 4th of July and honoring all these things. But I think for us, we are reclaiming it and seeing it different. And where,
mhm,
we make sure we are exercising our rights, like voting, and that's why we promote vote, get out there. When we
mhm.
are talking about the history, right, the impacts that and the involvement that the US has had for years in other countries, right? And I think that is what has also, caused and led to a lot of immigration. It's building like community too, right, and these spaces for all of us. Ay, salud. Um,
Thank you.
and like also speaking up for those, whose voices sometimes aren't like heard. And that's what we're creating,
Mhm.
right, for future generations. So I feel like we're reclaiming what patriotism means, right?
I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good way to put it. I think that we are in a position to really, I guess, like shift the narrative of like what is
Mm-hmm.
patriotism. Patriotism is
Yep.
not just like, turning a blind eye to like what is
Mm-hmm.
currently happening in, our
Mm-hmm.
world, but really calling it out and doing something about it. I think I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's crazy because I remember growing up, like uno siempre pensaba like, oh, freedom of speech. Like everyone has a right to say what they want.
Mm-hmm.
This is a free country, and I think in our current situation, like it's, people have been arrested. There's so much that has happened simply for speaking up,
Yep. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like you have to call that out. Like that is patriotism.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we can keep talking about this, but something that I also just thought about is I feel like we're always, at least, always thinking about how we are living between like these two worlds and this duality, right? But sort of
Mhm.
related back to the reclaiming, like it's sort of like we're creating a new world for us, right? For those that hold like that our sons and daughters of immigrants, right? For us, like we're making Mexican American women, but creating that, right, for us and like for future like generations. And I feel like I'm constantly like choosing, right, between like honoring where I come from and holding to traditions, but then also I feel like we're very privileged, right, to be where we're
Yeah.
at and like the opportunities that are given to us, and I don't take those for granted. So I guess it's complex, and we just have to carry all. I guess all truths are okay at the same time,
Mhm.
and we're just creating a new space for those ahead of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I think for us to just think. I think a lot of times we live very much like just going through the motions, and so sometimes I think this is I feel like what I would like people to take away from this conversation is to like question everything, right? Like if we're
Mm-hmm.
celebrating a holiday, whether it be like Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, like question like what is it that we're celebrating?
Yeah.
And again, like
How
maybe
did we get
reframe.
here?
Yes. How did we get here? And like
Mm-hmm.
really reframing, like, what do you hope to get out of this? Like, don't just take everything for like what is being said.
Exactly. Ask questions, y'all.
Yes. But we definitely could talk
All
about
right.
this more and more, honestly. But our time
Yeah.
is up. Our producer is like, tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah, we always have like a goal of staying within a specific time frame, but we always go over. But we want to say thank you for listening to us. We hope you'll continue to join us week after week. Um, but yeah, I think that's it.
Yes, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. We really
Please.
want to, share, what our conversations. If you know anyone que le gusta el chisme, por favor, compartan. We want to thank you all for listening to Chisme con Propósito.
Where the tea is hot
The takes are unfiltered,
and
and
somehow
somehow we still make it make sense.